hopefully that was the goal. If you guys can let me know if you can hear me and see me all right, that would be greatly appreciated. Not sure what the hair is doing. Always a little nuts. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Is that TikTok? Yes, that's TikTok. Instagram, how are we? Never really sure how that's going to go. All right, so if you guys are on Instagram or TikTok, if you are having any trouble, switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. Also, it's the best way to support me, and I do greatly appreciate it. Welcome, everyone on Facebook and YouTube. Good to see you guys. If I could get a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be greatly appreciated before I go ahead and get started here. And I want to encourage you guys to start dropping your questions now. So this is a free Q&A. This is my monthly Roots Revival Interfaith Church service. If you don't like the word church, you don't have to call it church. We believe in the three truths of the universe. That is intuitive intelligence, astrology, and numerology. Okay, so that's what we're all about here. And today is the first open Q&A I've ever done at a Roots Revival service. So I'm excited about this. I'm taking your questions on absolutely anything. This is not a psychic mediumship show, obviously, so it's not like getting free readings. Like some of my other shows, but this is anything you have a question about philosophically, universally, spiritually, health questions, anything about relationships, money, how things work or why things aren't working. More importantly, I see a lot of people struggling lately, so I thought it would be a good time to offer something like this, and we'll figure out what's going on. All right, so I do want to say thank you to my YouTube members. Always, I appreciate you guys so much. And if you want to become a YouTube member, you can go to Ask Ivy on YouTube and hit the join button, and it'll show you the 3 different tiers of membership options. And that includes everything from like a monthly email reading directly, which totally pays for your subscription entirely right there. Okay, more than that even. You get like a weekly message, 1 free mini class every month, an Ask Ivy exclusive show where I focus on you got your monthly horoscope. I mean, there's a ton going on. Okay, so check it out. So thank you, my YouTube members. Language Through Learning, Angie Johnson, Denise Bennett, Samantha Winger, Jan Phillips, Yolanda Fisher, Lucy, Heather G, Jill Marie, Bonnie S, D Alt, CJG, Marae D, Masubi, Mary, Audra, Robin Hartling, Chicken Mama, Tristan Marion, Edgar Velardes, Vanessa, MeLove716, Andrea M, and I believe I got to everybody. Thanks so much, you guys, for your continued support. I do have a bunch of announcements, but I really just don't feel like it. Had a really busy weekend. Okay, so I think I'm going to skip announcements. My in-season is just about starting. Okay, so I'm going to be in a million different places. Margin Manor Winery, our psychic fairs are starting up. If you want to book with me or one of the certified readers from the Ivy League Psychic Academy, you can go ahead and do that now. I just sent out the newsletter. Okay. If you want to get on the email list for the newsletter, drop your email or message me your email. I'll get you updated there. If you want to see what I have going on and you want to book a reading with me, go to the website. Everything is going to be there. Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. I'd rather get into these questions tonight. So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I am your pastor. I am a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk. This is Roots Revival Interfaith, where we believe in the 3 truths in the universe. That is intuitive intelligence, numerology, and astrology. If you follow these 3 truths, they will lead you to a greater sense of independence, an understanding of your life path and purpose, and help you to heal and transmute the things that have happened in life that aren't so pleasant into power, ultimately helping you with integrity and character development so that you can go out and start helping others in the same way. Today we are doing an open Q&A, the first time I've ever done this at church. We are federally recognized and we are our own religion. Okay, that took about 15 years for me to pull off. But if you want to become a reverend, a spiritual life coach, or look at some of the other trainings we offer, you can go up onto the website, Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com, and you can just click on Roots Revival Interfaith to see all of that. You guys can start dropping your questions on any topic under the sun tonight. Again, these are not free readings. If you want to book a reading, you can go onto my website for that. I do work internationally, and you can use a self-booking system if that doesn't fit with, say you're in the Middle East, for example. If it's not working with your time frame, you could just book a video download reading. Okay, so drop your questions. My beautiful producer, Kim, is going to be taking them from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are. She'll be popping them up on the screen here on YouTube. And who do we have first, Kim? Bethany Renner says, can you share a little about the healing abilities of animals? I believe there was more to that question. I'm just waiting for it to pop up. Okay. Do you let your cats sleep in your bedroom with you? I don't really like mine to sleep near me, but sometimes he's persistent. Okay. And let's leave that part 2 up, Kim. Okay. So the healing abilities of animals, animals are really kind of all doing the same thing. So they don't bring a ton of different styles of healing to the table necessarily. What we tend to see, and I call it the triad, right? We tend to see that we have angels at the top of the triad. Angels are the healing entities of the universe. And then here on Earth, we have empaths, typically level 3, 4 empaths. And then we have animals. And the empaths and the animals will work in conjunction with each other, which can be very supportive. Like, for example, when you look at something like, Harry Potter, everyone has an owl or a frog or a black cat. It's this idea that healers, empaths, and animals work together. And that's true. Now, what animals are really doing, though, is helping the healer to cleanse, helping the healer to stay rooted and grounded, helping to remove negative energy, toxicity, stress, disease even. So we often see like a dog will take on their owner's cancerous condition and often excrete it. They may not even hold on to it. It depends on the situation. But what animals are really doing when they're coming up to you, trying to sit on you, they show up in your driveway, when we see the universal cat distribution system in full operation, it usually signifies not so much that that cat needs a home as much as you need some kind of healing. And animals do tend to become obsessive with being near you, sleeping with you, sitting on you when you need healing in a particular area. And they will do it until they feel their job is done. Now, it's really important that we make sure our cats, our dogs, our pets of any kind, with guinea pigs being the most empathic pets of all, okay? They pick up everything you're thinking and feeling. If there's a stressful person in the house, it's going to upset them. We have to make sure that we're feeding them right, that we are paying attention to their digestive systems, because as healers, they are prone to things just like empathic people are: migraines, right? Horrible headaches, sleep disturbances, and stomach problems for the most part. So we want to make sure we're helping them to maintain their health. They need a lot of exercise. People get down on me for having indoor outdoor cats. I would never trap my cats inside, ever, ever. I trained them to make sure even they were going to do well outside. They need nature. They need a release. We are not supposed to have pets just to take care of us. we're supposed to allow them to have a healthy, balanced life as well. And so I'm not shaming anyone who has an indoor cat, but you have to make sure they're getting enough of that healing energy that can often only come from being in touch with actual nature, not just watching it through a window. And what animals are going to do primarily for you, walking your dog and things like this, even it helps you to stay, like I said, more balanced. A lot of people even say walking my dog has made me healthier as a person because I have to do that every day for them. We would also see that they're taking especially good care of your mental health. Now, this is where you would see your cat trying to sleep on your head, your dog being right up in your face, right? Or they're getting up in your space. This is them trying to help you with your mental state or instability. If you're thinking too much, right? So yeah, it's going to be physical where they're trying to pull out disease. They are trying to sit on you to bring healing to any areas of your body that have swelling or pain. They're trying to help you with stress reduction. And oftentimes, because people deal with their stress at night through their sleep state, your cats or your dogs may become obsessive with sleeping with you. It's not always that. Sometimes they just like to sleep with you. And so I'm going to get to the part 2 of that question, but it was taken down. How did she ask that? So something about, do you let your cats be able to, thank you, Kim. So part 2 of that question was, do you let your cat sleep in the bedroom with you? I do not. I don't believe in sleeping with a lover, a spouse, a pet. It disrupts your sacred space. That is your rest time, especially if you're an empathic person. You become whoever you're sleeping with. You take on the dream state or the sleep state. And again, that's often a stressful time for the average person. That's when they're processing all the things they couldn't when they were awake. That is way too much for anyone. So everyone should have their separate sleep space. It is, again, their sacred time to recoup their energy, to really let their body heal on a cellular level. It's crucial. So no, I don't. Sometimes, most times, my cats are also very persistent. So I understand, Bethany, where they're scratching at the door, they're pushing on the door, but I know they're perfectly fine. And I use a very short, brief code word with them. And that is stop scratching. That's it. That is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to entertain it. It is stop scratching. And they know they have to give up, So sometimes if I feel like they're ill, if their allergies are acting up, or if they're going through a stressful time for whatever reason, like they had a fight with the neighborhood cat or fireworks were going off, I will let them sleep with me and I'll just suck it up. And what I try to do is create a space. And again, I will not do this all the time. It will be temporary, but I'll create a space on the bed where they can be. And then I will still be able to roll over and do what my body needs to do to heal and be comfortable over the course of the night, So even if they are sleeping with you, you can set boundaries on that. It doesn't have to get ludicrous, like they're sleeping literally over your face and you can't rest at all. Yeah, thank you for that question. Everyone needs to recoup their energy, including your pets. I've also set up a cat hotel. They have their own literal apartment in the Airbnb here. It's full of plants and lights that are strung, and they love that. When the lights are on at night and they have their cat climber and they can look out the window and be in this jungle of plants. And so it's not like they're suffering horribly when they can't be sleeping with me. If you create a space for them that is also going to be healing and rejuvenating for them, they will go to it, and not complain as much. All right, we have another question here from Danny. How do I know my purpose in life? Well, I always recommend booking a life contract reading. It takes an hour if you book it with me. I am looking at your 5 to 6 major pivotal points, meaning you get 5 to 6 level up opportunities over the course of your life. And those show the progression and the work that you're supposed to be doing, what you signed on to do before you came to Earth. My life contract readings match a good Vedic or Western astrologer, as well as numerology, your numerology chart. So I've been testing that out for 16 years. I would highly recommend you invest in an astrology birth chart, looking at your North Node, meaning your purpose in life, a numerology chart, or a life contract reading. But, you have all of these major indicators all around you of what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And that would break down to things like where you have a sense of passion. That would also be where you find you can do some type of work and never get exhausted, burnt out, and depleted. You always want to go back to it. It feeds your soul. It feeds your energy level. Now, there's nothing we're ever going to do 24/7 and not get tired from, but I'm saying you want to go back to it. You would want to look in areas where you've had jobs or you've thought about working in certain careers or doing some type of work with the community where you feel as though it's helping you to grow as well. You have interest in it. It holds your attention. You're not bored by it. There's curiosity there. You would also want to look and see how people are attracted to you. What do people naturally come to you for? I read a client earlier who was saying that she is not feeling fulfilled at her job. And what I got when I looked at her life contract was that she's supposed to be offering spiritual life coaching. She's supposed to be speaking publicly on podcasts, helping women to achieve their independence. And she's supposed to essentially be using her communication out in the world. She's not really doing any of that at her job, even though it pays her really well. And she said that one of the things she enjoys most in life is when people come up to her at the grocery store or when she's at the bank or, she's at a restaurant, people come up to her and tell her their life story. They sort of trauma dump on her. She said she loves that ish. I'm like, really? That is what I'm talking about. If you love people coming up to you, even when you're not making eye contact, you're minding your own business and just trauma dumping all over you, telling TMI, right? If you love that, that's what I'm saying, right? That is part of your life contract, is to be available to communicate to the public what it is that you know. Your presence is a healing energy for them. She doesn't belong in some cubicle working for some corporate, you have to pay attention to what people come to you for, what you feel passionate about. Also, I would say look back at your childhood, because there were some peak years, like typically around 5 to 6 years old. And then we see this, more around like 8 for some people. We see it again between 14 and 16 years old. What did you feel passionate about doing before your guidance counselor told you to go into some mainstream job, or your parents told you what you should do so that you can get your college degree and have a consistent paycheck? Before society molded you into whatever it is you've decided to do today, what did you actually want to do? So you have to go back, okay, and look at those childhood years. They were extremely informative and accurate. Yeah, and then take it from there. Absolutely. Bethany said, thank you so much. This is very helpful. You're welcome. Yeah, and all of us, I think all major healers, all big light working, players have a pet or two that found them. Bethany said, Ivy's life contract reading was life-changing for me. I can't recommend it more. Thank you, Bethany. Yes, a life contract reading it's going to change your life. It's going to put everything into perspective. And we'll go over everything from birth to your last pivotal point. Yolanda Fisher says, any suggestions on dealing with changes in the workplace without always believing it is due to the current political climate? Well, it has to not be due to the political climate. That's the thing, is like so many people are hitting this reality, this brick wall, this coming out of the matrix right now. And so you're like, oh my God, it is the political climate. Probably it could be. So we don't want to try to make it into something it isn't. We don't want to make it into something more. It could just be that. But I think that's a very logical explanation when it is the political climate. I think that can help you a lot in maintaining, a very honest sort of equilibrium and a very matter-of-fact attitude and a very problem-solving mentality where you can cut off easily from your emotions and you just follow your intuition and you say, okay, well, what does that mean for me? You know, so we are dealing with a lot of facts right now, a lot of fact finding for the first time. And I think that when you are dealing with changes in your workplace that aren't due to the political climate, you want to look at it in this context of change. Is it time for you to make a change? If you feel that it is, you have probably noticed that for a long time. That's probably not like newsflash to you. And I always break this down for my students in this way. We have part 1, part 2, and part 3. If the universe came to you several years ago, probably about 3 to 4, and the universe was showing you that it was time for you to make a change, I like to say the universe is a gentleman in that first year or two. And so they'll show you what you're supposed to be doing, or you know what you actually feel passionate about, or what you need to go back and finish, what we need to investigate, and how this workplace is not right for you through a million different circumstances that are making you uncomfortable. Now, most people ignore that first phase. I call it the suggestion phase. And if they ignore that, you got about 1.5 years, maybe to 2 years before you enter into the second phase. The second phase is more serious. I call it the pinching and the prodding phase. This is where spirit and your higher mind and the universe is going to start making you uncomfortable. And you would typically be looking at things like the threat of job loss or a layoff, and then you go back, a back and forth type of energy. You would be looking at maybe the company being bought up by another company, and we don't know what type of environment we'll be working in. We don't even know if our position is going to be safe when these new owners come in. You would also typically see other people encouraging you to jump ship and go over to where they are. People offering you positions, a lot of suggestion about what might be better. And a lot of those opportunities that are coming you are a better fit. But this is in the second phase where most people dig in. Why do we do that? We do that because humans are creatures of habit. And we will dig in and say, no way, I will go down with the ship. I have been investing here. I am not going to rock the boat. What you don't seem to understand is the boat's already been rocking for a long time. Okay, and you should have taken one of those life preservers and gone off to something else. It's also societal training, right? To go down with that ship, to be loyal to a company or business or anything you previously invested in for your career or marital contracts or business contracts. And that is certainly not the case. If they reneged, you can burn it down, you can bail on it, no consequences. You should think that way, right? Me first, everything is leverage. We should have more of a business mentality. They certainly do with us. Your boss would step right over your corpse, right? Just the very day of, remember that guy got shot on the sidewalk, Free Luigi. Remember, they just basically had the meeting with his body on the sidewalk, like no one cares, right? You have to take on that mentality, but we don't, because we're in a capitalistic system. And that means that if you dug in during that second phase, that's going to lead to the third phase. And that phase happens a lot faster. You only get to be in the second phase for maybe a year and a half. And then basically the universe is saying, okay, you made your choices. You're on your own. The third phase, I call it the breaking of the legs. I have literally seen people's legs being broken, ankles being sprained, feet being broken, people falling off ladders when they were at a job they shouldn't have been in and ending up in a full body cast. Last time it happened for me, my car was taken away because that was my main form of making that money, was traveling about. You'll see it through health conditions. You'll see it through being hit hard in your finances. It could be anything. It depends on your circumstance. But in the breaking of the legs phase, it is the universe's final warning to you that you are officially now put in a big timeout chair. You may even lose your job. You're put in a big timeout chair and you're forced to sit there and think about the signs you were given and the changes you were supposed to make and how you chose not to, and to make sure that you never do that again. And hopefully after that, you start going in the right direction, you know, and then things will drastically improve and immediately upon a shift of mentality, get better for you. Okay. But a lot of people don't even then, and they spend the rest of their lives being miserable and going in the wrong direction and digging in. And so that's when you start to see deterioration in health, mental health, relationships, everything. everything. It can be like you're hustling the rest of your life every day. So, you know, there's also that. I forgot what the question was. Yeah, Kim, don't take them down until I'm done, because I can't remember what I'm talking about. Dealing with changes in the workplace. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Okay. So that's another sign that maybe it is both too. It could be the political climate pushing you along, and it could be this realization that you needed to make some changes and you're digging in when you shouldn't be. So pay attention. You will never be able to say at the end of it, there were no signs. I thought I was in the right place. Right. All right. We're going to move on to another one. Thank you, Yolanda. Again, wherever you guys are, post your questions. Okay. This is our monthly Roots Revival service. I appreciate you guys being here. Donations are appreciated, but not required by any means. And I do want to encourage everyone to post your prayer and healing requests. And for everyone else, when you see a prayer or healing request from someone, please manifest for them. Send them healing, send them positive energy, prayers, whatever it is that you do. And I will be checking those if you guys are watching this later, once it's been published, for about 2 weeks. Inspired Soul says, how do I know if I'm on the right path? Well, that's very similar to another question I just answered a minute ago. So I'm just going to sort of abbreviate this one. We'll move on from this one real quick. But you can go back and listen to the answer I gave, I think, 2 questions ago. I know a lot of you are feeling this right now, that you're not on the right path. If you're not on the right path, and even Yolanda's question that I just answered, universe is going to be showing you constantly that you're on the wrong path. It's going to stress you out. You're going to have a constant sense of anxiety, a nagging suspicion that something is wrong, or that you forgot something. It's going to fill your dreams with that type of stress dreaming energy where you're always trying to fix everything. There will be a terrible nagging foreboding, like the other shoe is about to drop, or like the winds of change are coming and you need to get ready for it. You have no sense of peace. You have no sense of rest, inner or outer. You would notice a deterioration on all of your prosperity circumstances, you know, from relationships to job, typically to wealth, to, you know, investments, to your health. You would see a slow, sometimes more rapid, depending on where you are in your timeline, but a slow but consistent deterioration there. And anything you do achieve, it feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You could get it, have your hand slapped, have it taken away immediately. Okay, so a lot of questions to ask when your life is looking like that. Let's move on to another one. This is from Sarah. Has working with the dead scared you at any time? Well, I mean, it really scared me all the time when I was a kid, which is why I do this. And I believe this is my calling in part. And I teach classes to parents and I teach classes to children because, you know, we live in a society that negates what's true. Society negates the spirit world because we live in a for-profit medical system. So big pharma and the mental health field in their DSM-5 can make more money off of it that way. We have also like the Christian nationalists, right? And Catholicism and all the colonialism that went on crushed our indigenous roots, which is why we hear our roots revival, right? So it forbade any type of spiritual connection to the earth, to spirit, to the paranormal world, to our higher selves. And it put it in the hands, the power of the priest. So you would have to go there and only there for answers. And we were told that everything we know is demonic. So that's how they kept their position of power. Okay, so if you look at the systems internationally, right, that have taken over, they're also toxic and they do not ever address all of the scary things that come along with the spirit world. So without education, we're told that we're mentally ill or we're demonic, you know, or that we're attracting these bad things, and we don't understand it. If you can't look at the spirit world honestly, you also can't get educated and learn about discernment. And discernment was the biggest part of all of this journey for me, that ultimately was lacking severely and led me to a point of really being quite pissed off. I was pretty furious with the fact that no matter how many mediums I went to or how many psychics I talked to or how many people, you know, in these supposed light working positions, that they didn't know anything about discernment. They didn't seem to want to talk about the dark energy, right? Paranormal problems. What is an attachment? What is a demon? What is a possession? What is a true haunted house, right? Or a land issue? Like they didn't want, how does that develop into disease? How does that control someone's mind until they're completely mentally ill? How does that lead to addiction? They don't want to talk about any of that. They don't want to talk about any of that. And I was like, well, you're no better than the church. Like, where is the help? Where is the help? You know, so that I did it on my own. I figured it out on my own. And yes, it was very scary. And you know, the truth of the matter is, here's what I tell my students. The truth of the matter is that it will remain creepy, and it will be a situation where you get more intuitive, and so you attract even more paranormal activity. It will follow you from house to house, and it can be dangerous. Especially as a healer, if you're attracting people who desperately need healing, they often have possessions or attachments or drug and alcohol abuse issues. So it's like gum on the bottom of your shoe. It's sticky, you know, that way. And you're going to be surrounded by it. So you have to choose to set boundaries, learn discernment once and for all. And every day, including when you're asleep, you have to have rules and boundaries set at night, so that you're constantly maintaining that discernment by choosing only to engage with higher vibrational spirits. You know, not these ghouls and these monsters and these demons and these earthbound spirits or these toxic elementals or all the jazz, the shadow stuff that comes along with it. You should not be feeding that. And too many people do, including supposed light workers, because they don't know what they're doing. I understand why they don't know what they're doing, but at this point, you know, I think people who don't know discernment shouldn't be entertaining the spirit world until they get that under wraps, because it's not only creepy and scary, it's downright dangerous. It could cost you your life. It should be taken very seriously. Yeah, if you want more information, like there's a class, actually it's coming up. I'll be teaching it to the public again in a couple weeks, 2 weeks. But it's on a video. It's called Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments. You may want to check it out on the website. Yeah, be careful with that. Very scary. You know, and now I live in a place where people are running, you know, I had haunted sleepovers running here all weekend and a lot of paranormal activity. And I'm at a point where I'm so good with the energy, I can spot what's high vibrational, medium, or negative a mile away, and I just manage it, you know, but yeah, for sure. Do you do cleansings? I do cleansings, but I learned by watching all of these paranormal guys who claim to know what they were doing. They would say, you got to have boots on the ground. You got to put boots on the ground, little girl. And they would go to these super toxic environments trying to play big man and pretend that they could cleanse it. And they all ended up with cancer, or they're dead, or they ended up losing their minds. Okay. So I, through watching them, worked very much on my skills from a distance. I do what's called remote viewing, so I can help someone cleanse from exactly where I am, from my safe space. And that's how I train people to do it as well. From your safe space, you can assist someone in doing a cleansing, or you could do a paranormal read on people, you could do a paranormal read on land, you could do it on a property, whatever it is, but you don't have to go physically get involved. And also you can't cleanse for someone. And that's something all the old timers are still preaching, that they can come to your house and cleanse for you. No, they can't. No, they can't. They can't do an exorcism for you. They can't cleanse your house for you. So when you do a cleansing, or I as a medium, when I help someone through like a paranormal consultation, let's say, I'm helping them in the cleansing. I'm telling them where the issues are, what's going on, where it plans to go next, and how they can cleanse it and get the upper hand. But they have to do it themselves. It's kind of like going to, rehab, or coming off a drug addiction, or whatever, breaking up with someone and going no contact, or doing a cord cutting. Whoever is dealing with the issue has to also be the solution and maintain that solution. No one can do it for you. Yeah. So do I do cleansings? Well, yeah, but like not really. I mean, I can only tell them what to do. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So many good questions. These are really interesting questions. I'm glad we decided to do this. Edgar Velarde says, why psychic readers give different predictions for the same question? They are picking on different timelines for the same question. Okay, so why would psychic readers give different predictions? The biggest problem I see with psychic readers is that they don't understand future. They don't understand the difference between destiny charted future and free will future. So if they aren't educated, they will think that whatever they see is true. Whatever they see is the prediction, and that's not the case. So if something is destiny charted, that could be accurate. That could be true. But if free will is involved in any way, if there are multiple people involved, if the timeline can move, people have free will, so they could choose not to do something or to do something. That may eliminate the entire thing from ever happening. That means that they don't understand as a reader that there are deeper possibilities here, multiple possibilities here, and who would have to do what in order for that thing to actually happen. And without knowing that, they're just going to tell you something's going to happen, and it just doesn't, and you don't know what. Okay, so that's the most common thing I see. Now, something else that could be happening, and this touches a little bit on what you said here, could they be picking different timelines? Well, I think that they don't understand often that timeline can move. So they'll just say something and you'll think that's the answer, okay? But maybe that happens later on. I had a great reader who was incredibly accurate. God bless him, he passed, but he was the only one I trusted. And he never put a timeline on anything. So I remember one of the last readings I had with him, I was so excited, I almost peed my pants. I was so excited about everything he said, but it didn't happen for 10 to 12 years. And I was like, damn. I think in my readings, I want to be specific on timelines, So yeah, it could be both. They could also be telling you what you want to hear. So my students get penalized for that. And if I catch them doing it multiple times, they will not get certified. They'll fail the program. If they are reading you telepathically, so a lot of readers are scammers where they telepathically read your mind instead of actually telling you what may happen or what will be happening, free will or destiny charted. Instead of giving you the real info, they just read your mind and they tell you what you want to hear, and they make more money doing it that way. So somebody could be blowing rainbows and butterflies up your rear end, or telling you the worst, and that's not necessarily a fact. Because again, they don't understand free will. That can happen. Lots of different things could happen with this, but it's mostly either a scam or it's inaccurate because they don't understand. The alternative is that things changed. So if you had a reading, say in February, and then you had another reading in March, and they were very different, it's very possible that the circumstances changed. So maybe they are giving you accurate readings, but the circumstances are not the same. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Edgar. I'm going to move on to another one. For anyone tuning in late, we're taking any question and encouraging you to drop your prayer and healing requests. Donations are appreciated, but not required. And this could be a question literally about anything under the sun. Okay. Also, if everyone could, I forgot to ask you, please give this video a thumbs up wherever you are tuning in. And please do subscribe and share this video. All right, so we have Sarah asks, you have to cleanse your own home with direction? Well, I mean, if you have a paranormal problem, it would appear so. If you don't know what you're doing and you have a repeated problem, then yeah, I think you need to seek direction. If you intuitively know what's going on in your home, then no, I wouldn't say you need direction. You know, if you can handle it, then I call it chaos magic, right? So chaos magic is understanding what is going on energetically. It's not blanketing everything and saying it's all paranormal activity, like there's a ghost in the house causing this. It's more knowing what is a land issue, what is a property issue, what is my drunk boyfriend's issue that he's bringing in, okay? What is whatever it is. It's knowing what each individual thing is that's going on that's causing the problem, and then knowing what the solution is going to be, and then implementing that solution, and then maintaining that clean energy and calling in more clean energy. If you know how to do that, you don't need anyone to lead you through that. If you don't, get help, because it can get complicated, especially if you're in an old house or you're on a questionable piece of land. You know, here in America, for example, I always say America's doomed. Right? We're built on Indian burial ground. Karma's coming, you know, and it always has been. And, you know, that's a problem. So sometimes you want to look at your paranormal situation, your haunted house or whatever it is, and you want to say, is this something that can really be fixed? Or should I just move? Should I just look at like dual citizenship, perhaps? You understand? So that's another part of the wisdom, is knowing when to say, enough is enough. This isn't just residual energy that I can't get rid of. This is also intelligent energy, and this is a big problem, you know, and I think it would be safer to leave. So, yeah. All right, great question. Lots of paranormal problems I've been noticing people are having for sure lately. All right, Murray D says, I keep seeing tons of angel numbers all throughout the day. 111, 222, 3s, 4s, 5s, 7s, 8s, 9s. How do these angel numbers guide us, and how do we use them as tools to move in the right direction? Well, they're not angel numbers. So I believe angel numbers was something, just, you know, a bunch of people came up with as a money-making tool, especially Doreen Virtue, who ended up going crazy and became like a Christian, like a reborn Christian, and wanted all of her angel cards, all of her decks removed from Google. I mean, she went crazy thinking that demons were channeling through her. Okay, that's all that angel number stuff. So there's no such thing as angel numbers. What we do have is numerology. Numerology is a real language. This is an ancient language. And often with numerology people, they've had it from lifetime to lifetime. It's their way of communicating with their higher mind, with spirit, and with the universe. And numerology people would notice patterns from birth of like death dates and birth dates and lucky numbers and important people that you meet. Like all these numbers add up for you. Now, numbers are directional. I have a numerology course up on my website. You may want to check that out and learn the language. But when you're looking at number patterns following you, they're telling you something about where you are. Now, numerology is often the language numerology people have with themselves, with their higher mind. So it's almost like you sent yourself a number. You told yourself to look at the clock at 333. And the likelihood of something like that happening, you have greater likelihood of winning the lottery. They just did some research on this. So it's not normal to see things like that, especially on clocks. Okay, so you want to take it seriously. You want to say, well, these numbers are showing up in patterns and they are directing you in some way or giving you confirmation about something you're thinking or doing, and they will change. So once you're through that phase in your life, or you're over that change, it'll shift into another number. And then that number, or those patterns of numbers, are telling you something. I like to think of numbers also, I talk about this in the course a lot, as a timeline. It's sort of like if you were seeing 4, 5, and then 9s, that's how things are going to play out for you. And that's what you should be paying attention to in that order. You know, I would say that if you're seeing it like this, I mean, you literally said 111, 222, 333, 444, 555. I don't know if you're literally saying that's happening to you. That is simply indicating that you are a numerology person. You need to be paying more attention and learn the language. because it's never going to be that much. You know, it's usually 1 to 3 numbers at a time as you're going through developmental phase, and then it switches into some other ones. Yeah, definitely. Very interesting. All right. Thank you, Mairead, for your question. We have another question coming in. THTB Divine on TikTok says, do better during the day. How do you set boundaries at night? I want to stay attached to my body. Well, we have the dreams class coming up in a couple weeks, and it's video download where I talk about astral travel, which is leaving your body, which causes sleep apnea, sleep paralysis. It's terrifying. It is. People train. I've been around people who are like, I trained for 30 years to be good at astral travel. Good for you. Most of us who have it naturally, we don't want it. You can keep it. Especially when it feels like you're falling out of bed, or you're getting sucked into a tunnel, or you're getting sucked into a hole or something. You know, it can be scary. The trick is learning how to control it the best you can. So like I said, you know, we're talking about astral travel there. We're talking about lucid dreaming techniques, which is controlling your dreams. And one of the things you could do with lucid is to start controlling your dreams before you're asleep. Because like you said, when you're awake, it's easier. Obviously, when you're awake, you're in control, right? And when you're asleep, you're very vulnerable to whatever. But you don't want to take on an attitude that you are passive at night, because you're not. And that you have to be submissive to whatever comes. You don't. But it does take a lot of work to get to a place where you are controlling what happens in your dreams. You're controlling the dreams themselves to a large extent, and certainly the choices you make in those dreams. So you're not like getting sucked into a tunnel per se. You could say, you know what, I will decide. I am deciding in my dream. While you're asleep, you'll stop and you'll be like, I am deciding whether or not I want to get on that train or go in that tunnel or get into astral travel. I will make that decision. I'm not just going to be taken along with it. Okay. And it could take years and years of practice. I just did a level up personally with my lucid dreaming techniques. And I did another one last year, and it took me months. This last one where I just learned some new skills, it took me 2 months to get it right. So sometimes you have to practice a lot. Now, what you don't want to do is get into the mentality that you should be doing lucid dreaming every night. You know, you want to have nights where you're just like, whatever, I'm going to go along for the ride. You know, that's good. That's healthy. I think that helps you also with the healing process that sleep is supposed to bring. But you need to be confident enough with your skills that you don't feel like you're at the whim of whatever happens that night. So using lucid, for example, that will help you to control astral, okay, the leaving of your body. That is, for example, before you fall asleep at night, you're visualizing where you want to go. So one of the things I talk about in that class is like visualizing that you're on a beach with a bunch of people you really like, and maybe you have a fire pit, and you know, you could see the moon and the stars above the ocean, and you can hear the waves, but it's very calming. And around the fire, some people take out drums, and now you're having a drum circle. And maybe you get up and you start dancing, and maybe there's an elephant over there, and you decide to go pet the elephant, you know, and you're just whatever. I mean, it is that feels good for you. And then you're staying with it until you doze off and you enter into that dream that you created, or the energy of that dream. And then it's maintain. Okay. And if you wake up and you're having a horrible night terror, well, you lost it. Go do it again. Okay. Mairead said, thank you. You're very welcome. We're going to go on to another one. Ayana F says, hello. If you have someone who has passed and has reincarnated, and the family of that person tries to connect with them, what happens, being that they have reincarnated? Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, what you're gonna feel is that you're communicating more either with like a voicemail. If you're a medium, I mean, I'm assuming that's what you're asking, right? Let's just say you are. Okay, let's just say you're the medium. You're giving the reading. If the deceased spirit you're communicating with, you're channeling, has already reincarnated, is like living a life right now. What you may do is pick up messages from them that they sort of left behind on. It's kind of like listening to a voicemail for your clients, because they're not really there in spirit in the same way someone deceased who has not reincarnated yet is. They're more fully present when they have not reincarnated. When they've reincarnated, they're kind of playing both sides of the fence. They're all over. They've got multiple lives going on. Most of us do. Okay, so they may communicate better when they're asleep, or they're in a deep state of meditation, or they're doing astral travel or something like this. But the rest of the time, they're communicating by sort of leaving messages of intention for the living. And that's a pretty common thing to have happen. Hopefully that makes sense. I think any medium listening to this is probably like, yeah, that's how I feel it too. You know, it's like they're there, but they're not there, and they will be there again, but they're not going to stay there. They're kind of everywhere. They're kind of in multiple places, you know, and they are for sure. And we switch up timelines all the time. We do time travel, and we can tap into our past lives, and we can go into our future lives, right? That's how we have deja vus, astral travel, things like this. So that's no different. Very interesting. All right, thank you for that question. You know, and they'll reincarnate again. I mean, we never, you know, it's like just because someone reincarnated doesn't mean their last life is any less true, or that their connection to their loved ones who are still alive is any less. And their future lives, those will be no lesser. They're all important. They're all significant. They're all part of our higher mind and valuable. And they don't lose value with reincarnation. Yeah. Okay, do we have any other questions coming in? We have another one here from, okay, I don't have a name with this, but it says, what do I say when someone is giving me a hard time? How do I handle that? I would say that when someone is giving you a hard time, I wouldn't really handle it at all if I were you. The way I look at it, people are grown, and past the age of 12, unless someone has some type of disability or they're, you know, challenged in some way, they know exactly what they're doing. And so if someone's going to give you a hard time and you are in the higher vibrational position, you're doing the right thing and they're doing the wrong thing, you do not try to explain it to them. You don't point it out. You don't try to talk about it. You don't try to find resolution. You block and you walk away. Because right now, what a lot of people are doing, they have learned helplessness. They have weaponized incompetence. We have a massive increase in narcissism. We have learned helplessness and deliberate confusion all the time with people. And people like to play dumb. They like to cause trouble and stir the shit pot and play dumb, right? So it's a form of abuse. And they're sort of like vampires. You know, they want your attention, even if it's negative attention, they'll happily take that. They want energy and they want to feel like they're controlling somebody. A lot of people these days are also feeling very out of control. And so they're coming from a place of ego, which is fear, manipulation, and control, right? So they're going to give you a hard time. And so if someone is acting a fool, treat them like a fool, cut them off. And if you're in a work environment and something like this is happening, you're probably going to have bosses who are trying to like force you to be together, right? Because it's all about the money. You really have to look at whether or not that's going to be an environment you choose to stay in. Or you may want to be totally upfront that you are not to be working with this person anymore. You're not going to tolerate it. So have your boundaries, keep them set, and don't feed it. I would say that when someone starts acting weird, the minute I notice it, that's the end of them. If I am in any situation where I'm going to be dealing with them, I'm very aware that they're trying to pull me into something, and it will never get any further. So be mindful and don't ever put it on yourself and say, well, maybe I'm imagining it or maybe I'm overreacting to it. They're giving you a hard time, That's what they're doing. They're deliberately giving you a hard time. They know better. My aunt used to say that, and she was an amazing mother. I was in a very dysfunctional family, and she raised her kids really well. So I just remember studying everything she would talk about, like how did she end up okay in this dysfunctional family, right? And we live in a dysfunctional world, but some people have it right. And I just remember her saying, your kids know better by 6 or 7. If you don't have them in shape where they know how to behave by 6 or 7, they're doomed. You know, they really are. And they're going to be manipulative and abusive like that. And I really have found that to be true. 6, 7 years old, you know, they've got the gist of it. And by 12, after 12, really no excuse. Okay, it's a choice after that. Sarah G says, are we all reincarnated? I would say so. I mean, I don't really meet any people who aren't reincarnated. We all have certain tasks that we need to complete. We have lessons that we need to learn, and we have karma that we need to fulfill. And that isn't easily done. So a lot of karma that has to be fulfilled, especially if it involved silencing you, if you were silenced, if you have issues with your throat chakra, if you were enslaved, if you were entrapped, if you were in a prison system, if you were very, very wealthy, even if you were in a power position, right? That's hard to let go of. These things are hard to let go of. And so we could see stuff like that taking 5, 6, even 7 lives or more to get right, to get out of. So yeah, I would say pretty much everybody's reincarnated. Like I said, I mean, I've never met anyone who wasn't reincarnated. There are degrees though. Like some people are very old souls compared to newer souls who seem to be figuring it out for the first time. And that's kind of obvious. Doesn't make them bad people. It's just kind of obvious. They're pretty clueless about what's going on. What do you think about childhood imaginary friends? Childhood imaginary friends, I believe, are guides. So you can check out my Meet Your Guides class on the website where I talk about your joy guide as your imaginary friend. Your joy guide watches over your spiritual development and your mental and emotional well-being. This would have been your primary imaginary friend, but they don't really come in as the imaginary friend. That's more around like 5 years old. You know, you have this imaginary friend. A lot of kids hide it because their parents tell them to like be ashamed of it, or teachers tell them not to talk about it, and they're threatened, you know, at school with like mental health diagnoses if they're talking to their imaginary friends. There's a shame element that really disconnects people from their guides. But if you were able to hold on to your imaginary friends for a longer period of time as a kid, you would have noticed that they were bringing you healing, that they were fun, that they were uplifting you, that they were also directing you, and that they were stepping in and sort of making you feel like you were rescued in situations that may have been unsafe or hurtful, harmful in some way. And yeah, those were your guides. And then you know, we would have seen before your joy guide, okay, became your imaginary friend as like a 5-year-old, it would have been the energy in a stuffed toy, or it would have been the energy in a blanket, you know, or some object that you took to before that. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Could have been ghosts. I mean, I definitely, I don't know that my imaginary friends as kids were the ghosts. You know, I didn't love that, but you know, some kids are playing with ghosts. They're playing with the deceased. Mm-hmm. I think I have to fix this thing here on TikTok. Hold on a minute. You guys bear with me. I have this puzzle I have to do. And if I don't do the puzzle, it cuts me off. What a weird thing to do. I don't understand what TikTok is thinking. Okay. Let's get on to the next question. How do you feel about rectification of old souls and this type of karma? rectification of old souls and this type of karma. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Feel free to clarify in the comment section, but essentially what happens, you know, from lifetime to lifetime is you're working out karma. And the way I feel about it is what it is. You get what you deserve. If you, you know, did a great job, then you're not really going to have to deal with that much more. You're going to just have good, clean, easy karma in that area. And you're going to move on to something else that needs to be fixed or learned or corrected or advanced, you know. And then where you have, let's say, you know, bad karma, where you did something wrong or you refused to grow. A lot of people we're looking at in this lifetime, they're going to be reincarnating. I walk around, I look at people, and I just picture what they're going to be like when they're dead. It's a train wreck out there right now. And it's like, wow. Okay, a lot of earthbounds we're going to have. The world is going to become a very haunted place. That's a refusal to grow. You know, when someone dies, they don't have to reincarnate. They don't have to go into the light. They can just stay earthbound. They can just haunt. They can deteriorate. They can be susceptible to all kinds of demonic and paranormal entities, you know, that come to take advantage of them. They could. Humans don't belong there. Humans are supposed to agree to move into the light. But if you move into the light, you have to agree to let go of your ego, your fear, all of that anger. You have to be willing to grow and develop and to help and assist others. You have to be willing to evolve, and you have to maintain it, you know. So there's, even if you haven't reincarnated, you're working on that stuff. You're working on your karma in other dimensions. It's just that the earth is a very particular, and the human experience is a very particular, difficult classroom through which we play karma out. You know, yeah. And I would also say, just on that note, as far as old souls are concerned, I don't look at old soul. A lot of people are like, I'm an old soul. I'm like, that's not a good sign. I mean, that's not always a good sign. You know, there are a lot of old souls out there who just are screwing it up. I mean, over and over and over and over and over again. You know, you don't want to be so old you're not picking up what the universe is laying down. You're not evolving and dealing with the karma. You know, so just hearing the word old soul doesn't necessarily equate to positivity. You know, it could be problematic even. Hopefully I answered that question. I'm not really sure. Oh, follow up to that question. Kimberly. Okay, karma and rectifying, say, throat chakra issues. Okay, is there more to that question? Rectifying throat chakra issues. Here's what you have to do with throat chakra issues, okay? You have to, I think at some point, forget about the past. Forget about past life trauma. Forget about how you've been trapped or silenced, or what took your voice, or when you sold your soul essentially and silenced yourself. Forget about it. At some point, the best way to get past throat chakra karma is to understand two things. A, you have a closed throat chakra because you're not speaking your truth, or, you know, B, because you did, but it was disrespected, disregarded, nothing changed, nothing improved. And if that's the case, you have to come at it again. You have to refuse to accept the circumstances. You have to set a boundary. Sometimes that boundary is walking away, burning it all down and leaving it behind you, whatever it is. But you have to honor your voice. And I would add that we need to stop thinking of throat chakra blockages as being just about speech. It's about your body language. It's about how you dress. It's about what you entertain. It's about what you don't entertain. It's about what you show up for, what you won't show up for, okay? What you feed with your mind and your mentality, what you pull away from emotionally. You know, what are you feeding, essentially? There are a million different ways to communicate. And when people are dealing with the throat chakra, they often stay stuck because they think it's all about the way they talk or deal with something. And it's way bigger than that. What are you saying in life? And what are you not going to spend time saying? You know, that's a big part of it too. Yep. I don't know if you guys can hear my stomach. I'm like starving. Hello. Esmeralda Marie is here. Okay, so do we have any other questions coming in? I would say the throat chakra problem too. This is just for everybody, but it's one of the most common things I see. And if we look at how many groups of people are here on Earth now being silenced, women, LGBTQ, minorities. I mean, look at, you know, the Palestinians. Look at how many people. Okay, the Congo. I mean, we've got so many problems with the throat chakra that I'm so pleased to see how many of us chose to reincarnate right now for this reason. In the revolution, there's a reason people with throat chakra issues chose to come here right now. It's almost like a now or never type of feeling. You don't get through it in this life. I don't know. I mean, because you're going to have plenty of opportunities to shout in this life. You know, we really have to for survival. We have to. But again, in past lives, maybe you didn't. Maybe you died from it. You know, that's a common problem. All right, we have yes, you're very welcome. You're welcome, Kim. Do we have any other questions coming in here? I see a few more. My husband's grandmother. Oh, okay. I don't know. These are, we're not doing psychic mediumship questions. If you guys want to book a reading, you could do that on the website. Okay, so are we at time? Bethany says, what a great show. Thanks so much. Blessings to everyone. Yes, if you guys have not already done so, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, become a YouTube member. And if you want to see what I'm up to, whether it's booking a haunted sleepover here at the 1882 Victorian Funeral Home, or, you know, getting a reading, booking a psychic fair party, or the list of upcoming events that we have going on, you could see that on my website. Also, if you are, for example, like in the Middle East, you know, and you want to book a reading and the time frames aren't working, you can get a video download reading. Also, I moved my Ask Ivy show. So we have on Thursday at 8 o'clock, I will be back here for my Ask Ivy show, where I'm going to be delivering out messages from Spirit and answering all of your questions, my paid show. So I will see you guys then. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Spirit. Thank you, Kim. See you guys next time. Mama.